Nintendo loves giving their characters a friend to accompany them on their journey. Some talk a lot, and others not so much. They've done it really well in the past, like with Kazooie from the Banjo series. Even Zelda had it with Minish Cap. But Mario has remained alone, never needing a permanent assistant. Until they gave him one in Sunshine, and again in Odyssey. Now that we've gotten accustomed to Mario's 3D movement, this may be a necessity to keep the platforming fresh, like they did in Mario Wonder. But they didn't knock it out of the park on their first attempt. Let's examine the complexity of FLUDD in Super Mario Sunshine, and what aspects they improved upon, with Cappy from Mario Odyssey. What exactly was the motivation for FLUDD? Why was he created? Well, in my last video, I talked about how they introduced FLUDD because they built larger, more exploration-focused worlds. But really, it's the other way around. FLUDD was introduced first, and they built the world around him. But why though? Well, moving Mario around in 3D is fun, but that novelty wore off after Mario 64. With how many buttons the GameCube controller has, there was motivation to add another dimension to Mario's movement. So what to add? Well, there needed to be something to increase the depth of movement, but not complicate it too much, like the options in Zelda. It had to be quick, no long setups. The final result? A squirt nozzle. Let's break down FLUDD's advantages and disadvantages. The Flash Liquidizer Ultra Dowsing device is a complex machine. It's got the spray, hover, rocket, and turbo nozzles. The spray nozzle works very quickly at short range, and can go long range if Mario is stationary. However, there's limited functionality when you're airborne, as it's hard to change the direction of the spray while you're jumping or falling. The best feature, the spam spray, is essentially a hidden technique. If you press A while spraying in the air, you'll shoot a huge blast of water. Imagine how much faster people would have beaten the Clean the Beach mission if they knew about that. The hover nozzle allows you to clear large gaps or attack enemies from above. It does go pretty slow though, and never quite gains as much height as you would like. The rocket nozzle propels you up quickly, allowing you to reach insane heights, but it's tough to aim, and you can't take the hover nozzle out to control yourself on the descent. The turbo nozzle propels you forward at incredible speeds, on land or on water. These are all pretty fun to use on their own, but not being able to use them in combination is a huge letdown. Imagine being able to spray while turboing, or go from a rocket jump into a hover. And if you're falling from a hover, you're stuck in a direction and can't spray anywhere else. This lack of smoothness also means it's tricky for beginners to learn to use the nozzles effectively. So, FLUDD can feel sluggish. Nintendo decided to go for more snappy partners in their next games. In Mario Galaxy, your partner is a Luma in a hat, who allows you to spin mid-air, or on the ground. It's not exactly a partner like FLUDD is, but it still gives you an extra move that's super simple, fast, and provides a good amount of functionality. For Mario Odyssey, they went with a mix. Cappy is still super fast to come out, but he offers even more movement options than FLUDD. Cappy has a ridiculous amount going for him. First, there's the basic cap throw, which can be used to defeat enemies, collect coins, etc. It's incredibly quick to come out, and you can throw it in whatever direction you want, whenever you want. Jumping or falling, Cappy's always ready to pounce. You can even throw multiple times in one jump. Second is the capture ability. Capturing enemies and objects gives essentially infinite movement opportunities, flying, extending upwards, even turbo boosting like Mario Sunshine. The capture ability is dynamic too. Mario can easily jump out of any capture with ZL and instantly capture something else. One of my favorite things to do is capture a lava bubble, jump around all crazy, and jump back off right into a dive. Cappy also adds movement functionality by letting Mario jump off of him. Like the hover nozzle, it lets you clear large gaps, and you can only use it once midair. But it gives some pretty good height, even just jumping off of it from the ground. Unlocking these movement patterns is way harder than just using FLUDD though. Cappy's easy to throw, but there's a ton of depth to the jump combinations you can do with him. Of course, a new movement mechanic is only as good as the world around it. The goal is for the partner to work with the environment and enemies as effectively as possible. In Sunshine, this means making enemies that can be killed by the spray and hover nozzles, as well as by jumping. This leads to lots of enemies made of goop, as well as goop on the ground, as you might have noticed. It also leads to special areas where you're meant to use the rocket or turbo nozzles, so you don't just stick to the hover nozzle all the time. Though Sunshine's non-linear gameplay usually allows you to use whichever nozzle you want to complete the level. Odyssey's genius lies in the fact that the capturing mechanic allows for any type of world design that you could imagine. And the abilities presented to you are often the ones you need. So you're not stuck, say, with a turbo nozzle in an area where you really need the hover nozzle. Cappy excels at the two things that matter: how enjoyable he is to use, and the opportunities that his use unlocks. So who comes out on top in a direct comparison? Let's divide these attributes into 4 categories: ease of use, enjoyment of use, depth, and opportunities for fun. For ease of use, the trophy goes to Cappy. FLUDD requires pressing the X button to switch between the nozzles, and the Y button to switch to first person mode to aim better. Aiming with FLUDD is pretty tough to do in general. But Cappy homes in on his target with a simple shake of the Joy-Con. However, FLUDD wins the enjoyment of use category. Cappy alone can't do that much to Mario's moveset, but FLUDD's turbo and rocket abilities truly make it a blast. You can even spray water and dive on it to go even faster than the turbo. In terms of depth though, Cappy has way more than FLUDD. The variety of objects and enemies that you can control is truly staggering, and the movement options you can pull off with Cappy require insane skill. Motion controls add the ability to throw Cappy up, down, and even spin around Mario. As I just mentioned, both partners have great integration into the world, so I'll mark that category as a tie. But when it comes to opportunities for fun, I have to give it to Cappy. The worlds you can build around him are just so much richer than the worlds in Sunshine were, and it's the fundamental reason why Mario Odyssey felt like it was just scratching the surface of Cappy's abilities. So overall, no matter what the categories are, it's clear who's going to come out on top most of the time. Cappy feels like both an upgrade of FLUDD in every way, as well as a complete paradigm shift. The 2D Marios have never had a partner that gave them an extra permanent move like FLUDD, the Luma, or Cappy. They prefer to stick to power-ups in those games, though they did add badges for Mario Wonder. Obviously, giving new abilities constantly makes every level feel super unique. But in 3D, they prefer to have it feel more like an adventure. Having a constant sidekick really brings it all home. So it's hard to imagine the next 3D Mario game without one, but what could it be? Well, Nintendo seems to love transformations lately, as indicated by Odyssey, Wonder, and even the new Peach and Kirby games. Whatever it is, my guess is it'll be quick and easy to use, incorporated seamlessly with the environment, and do something to Mario that we've never seen before. I just hope they don't go overboard and stick to the focus on platforming, like Mario Odyssey did. Thanks for watching. Go check out my video on the next 3D Mario game to hear more of my thoughts on this. Also check out my last video if you want some more awesome Sunshine stuff.